For the casual fan, the world of Narnia may conjure images of friendly fawns, majestic unicorns, and sword-wielding rodents. But there's a dark side of Narnia, full of more sinister creatures, each steeped in ancient folklore and mythology. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, the evil creatures of Narnia were something that I would often skim past, not really taking the time to understand what they really were, where they came from, or most importantly, what they were capable of. Well, I believe that in order to fully appreciate Narnia, you have to know all of the players, no matter how ugly they might be. And today, we're going to spend some time exploring those dark corners of the world and maybe shine a little light on the terrifying creatures that haunt the dark places of Aslan's kingdom. Now, in my research of today's episode, I believe that I found something that has never been discovered in Narnian lore before, and you definitely don't want to miss it. And when it comes to shining a light in dark places, you need to always be prepared to face the world that awaits you. For the young people in our world, I can think of no better place to be prepared than Boyce College, a place that I wholeheartedly believe in. You see, Boyce College in Louisville prepares graduates for the what and the who they will be after college. One way Boyce College accomplishes this is through academic rigor. Boyce College students are challenged to read great books, think deep thoughts, and learn new skills from a faculty that's recognized as experts in their academic fields and leaders in post-secondary Christian education. Now, you and your students can experience academic rigor firsthand during Boyce College Preview Day. Register at boycecollege.com/Narnia under promo code Narnia to waive the $25 student registration fee. Now, if you sign up to visit Boyce College and attend a tour, I'll send you a free Into the Wardrobe mug. So sign up today. Now, it's getting later and the moon is sinking lower, so let's get started. It's time to leave the Shadowlands behind and step into a world that's more real than our own. It's time to follow me into the wardrobe. One of the darkest moments in the history of Narnia happened in the black of night at the Hill of the Stone Table, when Jadis assembled all the forces of evil to witness the murder of the great and noble Aslan. Earlier that day, she had already put out a call to assemble them into an army, listing many creatures by name. "Go quickly," she said, "summon all of our people to meet me here, and speedily as they can. Call out the giants and the werewolves and the spirits of those trees who are on our side. Call the ghouls and the boggles, the ogres and the minotaurs. Call the cruels, the hags, the specters, the people of the toadstools. We will fight." And they did come. That night, with Aslan strapped to the table, Lucy and Susan crouched in the distance, and this is what they saw. A great crowd of people were standing all around the stone table, and though the moon was shining, many of them carried torches which burned flames and black smoke. But such people! Ogres with monstrous teeth, and wolves and bull-headed men, spirits of evil trees and poisonous plants, and other creatures who I won't even describe because if I did, the grown-ups would probably not let you read this book. Cruels and hags and incubuses, wraiths, horrors, efreets, sprites, orkies, woozies, and ettins. In fact, here were all those who were on the witch's side and whom the wolf had summoned at her command. Now, like I said, this was a horribly dark moment, and maybe because of that, I never gave these creatures much thought. I mean, what exactly are orkies and woozies? Well, as I started digging into that question, I discovered that these creatures are every bit as dark as the setting calls for. And today, we're going to unpack several of these as I list the top 10 scariest creatures in Narnia. Number 1, Boggles. Boggles, which are often called boggarts, bogies, boogeymen, find their roots in Celtic folklore. They're known to be mischievous, troublemaking entities, and they don't have a consistent physical description, but they've often been described as lurking just out of sight, about the size of a calf, with eyes as wide as saucers and draped in shaggy fur. Now, their mischief isn't just fun and games. They've often been said to engage in child abduction, a talent which Jadis would have found useful, no doubt. And as you'll soon see, a common theme in many of these monsters is that they pose a significant threat to children in particular. Number 2, ogres. Historically, ogres are cannibalistic giants with a massive stature and disfigured faces, often living in remote places like forests and swamps. And while a certain green ogre with a Scottish accent may have softened their images in the recent past, The truth is, ogres are known for the desire to eat human flesh, specifically the flesh of children or babies, believing that eating children is the key to staying young forever. Number 3. Woozies. The Woozies are also known as woodwoses or the wild men of the woods. For you Tolkien fans, you may know them as woses, a strange race of forest-dwelling men. But in reality, in ancient accounts, they portray these creatures as man-like beasts, covered in coarse hair. Most likely, they're cousins to the elusive North American Sasquatch and the ferocious Himalayan Yeti, both creatures who have been reported to have abducted children throughout history. Number 4. Hags. In European folklore, hags were disfigured creatures with the appearance of hideous old women. They were often associated with sleep paralysis, witchcraft, and soothsaying. They would sometimes appear as beautiful women or a succubus, intending on luring vulnerable men to their doom. In fact, the Lady of the Green Kirtle may have been such a creature. But more often, as in the classic tale of Hansel and Gretel, hags were known to lure children to their doom so that they could eat them. Number 5. Incubuses. Incubuses are the male version of succubus and are literally the stuff of nightmares. Their mythology has changed in modern times, but in medieval folklore, incubuses are demons who visit their victims while they sleep, sitting on their chests to crush them. In fact, the word incubus means nightmare in Latin, but it also means the crusher, and the name is derived from the Latin cubare, or to lie down, and incubare, to lie or weigh upon. Now today, an incubus is associated with sleep paralysis, and interestingly enough, the ancient wizard Merlin was said to have been the child of an incubus, according to Arthurian legend. Now one day when I get around to making my video of a unified field theory of Middle-earth and Narnia, I'll discuss this further. Number 6. Minotaurs. In Greek mythology, this half-man with the head of a bull was trapped in the labyrinth on the Isle of Crete and was offered sacrifices of its favorite meal, you guessed it, the flesh of young humans. Now, here's something interesting I didn't know. It seems as if in the land of Narnia, hybrids with human heads and lower halves, like fauns and centaurs for example, were inclined towards good, but the ones with animal heads and human bodies were inclined towards their more beastly behaviors, which is why it really doesn't make sense for there to be Minotaur sailors in the Dawn Treader movie. But I digress. Number 7. Ettins. Ettins are a particularly savage type of giant, often with 2 heads, who were once a great civilization in the world of Narnia, but grew stupid over time. In our world, Ettins are mythologized by many cultures, but one of the most famous Ettins was from the great Norse epic Beowulf, which featured the horrific, monstrous Ettin, Grendel. Now, when it comes to Narnian geography, it should be obvious at this point that Ettins found their home just north of the Narnian borders, in a land known as Ettinsmoor. Number 8. Orcies. The name Orcy is derived from the Latin orcus, meaning hell devil, and are most commonly referred to as orcs. An Orcy is a foul, hideous humanoid creature, similar to a goblin or a wicked elf. Definitely one of the uglier creatures in Narnia. Number 9. Creatures of the Toadstool. We see the depiction of these literally toadstool people in Pauline Bain's original illustration, but besides that, not much is really known about these mysterious creatures. However, they were probably similar to another creature on the list, the nymphs of poisonous plants, a title which probably is self-explanatory. Now, there are several incredibly deadly plants in the Pevensies' homeworld which may have had counterparts in Narnia, including the foxglove, nightshade, hemlock, and Sir Peter's namesake, wolfsbane. In fact, about a decade ago in our world, one unfortunate gardener in the UK merely brushed up against wolfsbane and lost his life. Let it be a strong warning for any child wandering alone in the wilderness. These nymphs are ones you don't want to mess with. Number 10. Ifrits. In Middle Eastern mythology, an Ifrit or Ifrit is a particularly ruthless type of jinn or demon, who often appears as an enormous winged creature with the head of a bird but seemingly made of smoke. Now, according to legend, this demon from the underworld can be summoned to do a person's bidding. Now, let's recap. A Middle Eastern demon, wings and head of a bird, summoned, smoke-like. Does any of this sound familiar? That's right. I believe that this creature is none other than the demon god of Calormen, Tash. Now, this revelation has totally blown my mind, and with its connection to the Jinn, I believe it may have changed my understanding of other parts of Narnia lore as well. So look for an update on all of this in a future episode. Now, in the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and if you'd like to help support future episodes, you can join these fine folks here and become a supporter of this channel on Patreon. Now, before I let you go, I want to leave you with one final thought, and that's that whether it's in Narnia or in our world, the forces of darkness are real and they're out there. But we don't have to be afraid, because since the beginning, in the midst of the darkness, there is a light. And as the book of John, chapter 1, verse 5 tells us, that light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Do you know the 3 most asked questions from parents who are searching for the right fit college for their student? Find the questions and the answers at boyscollege.com/faith.